I'm by myself. When I'm here in Cochise County, when I'm in Nogales, is very different, you know. But right here, I'm by myself, so I gotta do everything by myself. So, what I wanted to talk to you about is something that we all go through at some point in our life. Either we go through or we find uh, someone, or we know about someone that is going through that, you know. And it's something that it's not easy, you know. It's hard for people to understand. You know, it's very hard for them to understand what addiction is. That's what we're talking about, addiction. Personally, uh, me, it touched me really, really, really bad. I got to the point where I hit rock bottom. I was homeless. I had lost my family because of that. And when I mean my family, it's everybody, like everybody. I would see family members pass by me, and I don't know if they would ignore me or they wouldn't recognize me, but I find it hard for them not to recognize your family member when they're in bad conditions. Why? Because when I was in good conditions and I saw a family member in bad conditions, I knew who it was, no matter what the situation was. If he was dirty, if he was not dressed well, if he was asking for money, if he was high, I knew who he was. And it and I wanted to touch this subject because it's a subject that nobody likes to talk about, and it touches you one way or another. Either having a family member that's in active addiction or has had problems with addiction. But let me tell you that I would say 85% of people who get into the addiction that I'm talking about, which is drugs, because there's all kinds of addictions. You could be a sex addict, you could be a casino or money addict. My dad told me one day, and it's very true. Everything over excess is dangerous, you know, and it's when you do something over and over and over and over, it's an addiction. Why? Because you're doing it from an impulse, you know. And with drugs, it's a little bit different because you really need the drug to feel well, to function well, and stuff like that. Well, for me, it's been already 4 years of being clean. And let me tell you, I am so happy that I found help, that I reached out for help. And that help was my family. I still remember the day I decided, you know, this is too much. I can't take it no more. I'm done. I had already gone to uh, detox a lot of times, and they knew me when I came in there. You know, they knew me by my name, so that shows a lot that you know you're an addict, a real addict. Once they know your name and they know what you're about and everything. So the last time I went to the detox and I said, you know what, I tap out, I'm done. I remember that night I had just done my last uh, batch of drugs. I still had a little bit, uh, you know, to wake up and feel good in the morning. So when I went to detox, I wouldn't feel that bad. Because once withdrawal starts, it's hell on earth, and it's very bad. And I want to start off first on how I got addicted to this. I got addicted to this particular kind of drug, which is called opiates, because I tried marijuana, cocaine, uh, meth, and I did not like. That's something that just gets you all crazy in the head. I could say I like to feel down and relax, and that was my thing, and that's what opiates do. And this is my story. My first taste of opiates was when I had a toothache, and it was back in the 2005, 2006, 7, when they were prescribing Vicodin, Percocet, and I'm talking about the Percocets with 10 milligrams or 15 milligrams of Percocet and like 300 of Tylenol, which were the round white ones. And around that time, uh, my baby mama had my first daughter, which was the oldest, my Sophia. I love you, miss you, mama. Daddy's doing good, and she's my special little lady because she knows a lot about this, and she saw it, and she's really well educated about it, because I'm not afraid to talk about this to them and show them, this is what can happen. Well, it started like that. She had our firstborn, and one day I don't know if it was a headache or a backache. I don't remember because I was working construction. And I told my baby mama, say, I have a big headache. I'm gonna need some Tylenol, but we don't have any. And she's like, you know what? The doctor gave me. I had already tasted opiates, but I did not know what it was when they took my tooth out, and I did feel something, but it wasn't something that I said, oh, I'm gonna keep doing it. When I said that was when my firstborn uh, got got here, and my baby mama told me, you know what? The doctor gave me some pills, and they're for pain. You should take one. Well, me being me, I took two. That's when I felt the full euphoria of opiates. They were Vicodins. Vicodins or Percocets, but I think it was Vicodins. And then a friend of mine found out the same thing, and he said, "Oh, I went to the emergency room for a backache, and they gave me these pills, and they gave me energy, and I feel so good." And I'm like, "Oh, are they these? Because I've been taking them, and they're real good. I take them too. As when I'm at work, I take one, and I feel energetic, and it's the euphoria, and it gives you energy at first. And at first you can control it because you're barely being introduced. You're introducing your body to a chemical that is new to your body, so you can kind of control it. If you get a withdrawal, is not as bad. But then I had my molar tooth taken out, and they gave me Percocet. Well, by that time, I already knew that opiates gave you a good feeling and a good high. And when I got a bottle of Percocets because of my molar pull out, I was like, oh, this is cool. So I started with 3. Boom. And I felt a big euphoria. And I was like, wow. By then, me and my friend were going to the emergency room. You could tell them your pinky hurt, and they would give you Percocet or Vicodin. Why? Because the companies were advertising those pain pills like any others, like Tylenol and stuff like that. And those pills are made for people that are in like big pain. And for them to prescribe it to you like that, it was like, here you go, have it. But why? because the creators of those uh, lobbied to advertise those those pills as not non-addictive and non. Guess what? They were very addictive. From there, I hopped to Oxycontin, which is basically like Percocet, but without the Tylenol, and it's a little. It was a little tiny. It was a 10 milligram Roxy. They used to call them Roxys because they were pink, and they were Oxycontin. And then I got introduced to the green ones, which were 15 milligrams. And then I got introduced to the 30s, the famous Oxycontin 30s, which were 30 milligrams, that are now fake. This is how they got to being fake. So I was getting those pills and I was buying them off the street, off of people that did not like them or were doing harder drugs and were selling it to buy harder drugs because they found a harder drug to get high on. What was that? Heroin. And I'll tell you why right now. So I started to do Oxycontin or Perk 30s. And I was sniffing them. And you could smoke them, sniff them, and take them, you know. So I was sniffing them on work. I was very energetic, always did work, stayed for overtime because nothing hurt, and it gave me energy. Until one day, my Connect, I went there and I said, you know what, because I remember I used to get big paychecks and I used to buy up to 20, 30, so I was a good customer, so he would always save enough for me so it could last me a month. Well, one day came up when he did not have any because doctors and the government catched up to what was going on. They found out, you know what, this is addictive and it's hurting our people. They started to open up more detox clinics and stuff like that. And that's when the opiate crisis started. So what happened? People who had prescriptions of Perk 30s, they just stopped giving them to them. So you go through a withdrawal. Withdrawal is like a hangover. And that withdrawal, you are going to hurt because you're going to hurt. You're going to cry. You're going to want that once you're full into the addiction. So that happened to me. But when I went to my dealer, he's like, but I got something else that will take the pain away. So I was like, all right, what pill is it? Because I don't want to feel like this. And he's like, it's not a pill. It's black tar, heroin. And I was like, what? Something that I said I would never do in my life. So I said, you know what? I don't want to hurt. I'll just do it this time, and that's it. Well, that drug, I smoked it for the first time. When I smoked it, it was like if I took 10 oxys. I felt so good. The pain went away. But it's so strong that it makes you nod out. It makes you like fall asleep and wake up. And that's a sign of, you know what, your blood pressure is down, you're falling asleep. That's how people die. They fall asleep, their heart just stops, and you die. So, I started doing black tar heroin. And then I'm from a border town. I'm from Nogales. So, unfortunately, we get all the bad things first. So I had a big tolerance because we were getting heroin that was very, very strong. I mean, even before being cut. So I had a high tolerance to a point where I was doing heroin, smoking blues, even dropping morphine drops in my mouth. And how I survived and I did not OD, I don't know. Don't ask me. But I think God has a reason for me, and this reason is at least changing one person's mind of, you know what, I'm gonna get recovery and I'm gonna better myself, which is something that I did, you know. Uh, well, I went. I remember the day that I said, okay, I have had enough. I had lost my family because of that. Because one day, well, uh, my daughter and me used to stay by ourselves because my baby mama worked the 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 graveyard shift and I did the afternoon shift on a restaurant. We went 50-50 on everything, you know. We were a team. We had everything for our daughter. We were doing good, except that I had my addiction. And one day I forgot to lock the door and I was smoking heroin. And when she found out that I was doing that, we sat down and had a talk, and she touched some subjects that hurt me a lot because I did in my costume. She told me, "Hey, you're doing something really bad now. Why? Because you not out. I've seen it. You think I don't see it, but I do see it. You drop stuff. What if you drop a piece of that and our daughter gets it? Imagine that. That just made me like start thinking, and we agreed to separate until I got well. What happened? I never left that drug. For 4 years, I was a slave to that drug. I went down in months. I hit rock bottom. I slept in benches. I slept in friends' houses and garages. I was basically just going around finding where to sleep and getting high. Uh, and I remember one day, one of my friends, Fabian, thank you very much, brother, for opening the doors for me. He got a place and he said you can stay here. And one of those nights, I was like done getting high and I was like reminiscing and just all emotional because it gets to a point where you feel good at first, but once you're full into the addiction, you're like, you know what, this is really, really bad. And I told myself, you know what, I tap out, I'm out. I called my brother and I told him, you know what, bro, I'm ready. I want to go to detox. I want to change my life. I can't keep on living like this. I went to detox. They subscribed Suboxone to me, which I had already gone to detox and they had given it to me. Suboxone is uh, it's a pill that has uh, naloxone and buprenorphine. Naloxone is a blocker, which blocks opiates from going into your receptors, into your brain receptors, which makes you feel high. That's why I chose Suboxone. And the buprenorphine is it's an opiate antagonist. What is that? It just calms down the urges of you wanting heroin and wanting to get that high. So by combining those two together, the first the buprenorphine sets in, so it calms your body down. Then the naloxone kicks in. Why? Because if I decide to go use, I use, but it has the blocker and I won't get high. That's why a lot of people, there's three forms of medications to help you quit. And these programs, which are out there, which I'm a member of one, which is community services um, program. It's all over Arizona. Uh, I'll be talking more about this further in the future, but right now that's their name. And I went to them, and they work off of a MAT program. What does MAT mean? It's a medicated assisted treatment, which it uses either Suboxone, methadone, or the other one, which is, it's not Subutex, it's Vivitrol, which is a shot like Suboxone, but it lasts 6 months. You know, so I chose Suboxone because it has a blocker. Now the methadone does not have the blocker, so you could use the methadone and go get high, but it's very dangerous because methadone gives you kind of a high. That's why it takes away the pain and the urges of wanting that high. But people sometimes still want that high, but take the methadone just in case they don't find money or the drug, and they take it. So I said, no, I'm not going down that route. I'm going down the route of Suboxone, so it has a blocker. So if I have urges, or I find myself in a dangerous situation where I want to use, I can't use, you know. So uh, now I'm 4 years clean. I have my car. I have my savings. I got my video business going on, which is one thing that in counseling, when you get into those programs, because you do have counselors and stuff like that, people to talk to, they tell you, you know what, find something to do to distract yourself, to not have free time and think about that. And this is my 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 thing, you know, to get distracted from it. And it's helped me a lot. I'm 4 years clean. I only take 6 milligrams of Suboxone, which even the doctors are surprised because they're like, whoa, that's a low dosage. A regular dosage of Suboxone for people who are in recovery is 16 milligrams. And to just drop 1 milligram, because you can't go cold turkey off of it, it's very dangerous. And people have it in their heads, users have it in their head that, oh, you're just trading one drug for another. No, you're trading a medication for a street drug, and it's monitored by a doctor. That's what I tell them. So don't come and tell me you're trading one drug for another, because just look at me. I have my car. I have a relationship with my daughters. Um, I have my own place. I have my own equipment to make, you know, my own little podcast or little business of videography. So don't come and tell me that, oh, I just traded one drug for another. Because if I wouldn't be in these, and because there's a lot of programs, but if I wouldn't be in this program, I would not have what I have right now. Who would have this? The drug dealer, you know. And then I got out in the I got out of addiction when fentanyl pills were barely hitting the streets. Those are fake 30s. They're blue pills, and you could spot them real quick. They have like little spots, and you can identify them quick. I could tell you right now that 90% of perks that they sell are Mexican fentanyl pills. And fentanyl is a very potent opiate. 3 grains of salt of yeah, 3 grains of salt if it's an equivalent of fentanyl, can kill a human being. So just imagine that. I did get to smoke them. I did not know how dangerous they were until friends of my friends of mine started to die. Why? Because those pills are not meant to be taken. They're meant to be smoked. Um, but sadly, some people take them thinking, "Oh, they're real. I'll take it." They take it, and there's no reverse for that. So, I mean, it's very dangerous. And you know what? There is help out there, people. Just look for it. I know we as Hispanics, we have that stereotype of saying, you know what? No, I got it under control. Don't tell me what to do. I know what I'm doing. I could leave it if I want to. But trust me, it's not like that. This drug, this addiction, and it gets rich people, poor people, middle class people, every people from every walk of life has had this problem. I was in detox, and there was a girl there that's a psychologist, and she was addicted to opiates, and she was going through withdrawals and going through the program. Someone that was studied and then knew about, you know, stuff like that. So I was surprised. Anyways, this is my testimony of a hard time that I was going through, that I'm still going through, that I might have to fight for the rest of my life, but I'm going to do it the right way with programs like this. And the thing is, looking out for them, searching for the program, searching for the help. Some people don't do that. And I want to show you guys something. This is called naloxone. This is an naloxone shot. This is given to you when you have a withdrawal. Why do I have these? Because in my clinic, they know I am very active in not promoting, but in getting out the word of addiction, because people hear addiction and they're like, oh, I don't want to hear it. I already know about that. And it's your choice if you're addicted. Sometimes it's not, people. Sometimes, like with me, they prescribe it to you and you say, okay, I'll take it. And once you know it, you're already hooked. This is naloxone. It has three little vials, 3 syringes, and if you see someone that's overdosing on opiates, you get this, you put in the needle, you take out the naloxone, and you could just put the needle in the muscle and squeeze it in there, and they just give it a few minutes and they come back. Sometimes you need the 3 little vials so they could come up. Sorry, that's a cat up in there. Oh my god, I hate that cat. But yeah, so they gave me these so I could, because I have one right out, like before you go out at my door. It's right there because one day my dad saw this guy in the middle of the street almost falling down, and I told him, you know what, that's a sign of someone overdosing, because he was half asleep, half awake, and it's very dangerous, people. Please, right now, fentanyl is laced with heroin, so be careful. Watch out with what you take, and look for help. We'll be touching more about this subject and something special that we got coming up uh, further in the future. But we will be talking more about this and about addiction. I am right now. I am in my sobriety stage. I'm doing very good. 4 years, proudly clean. And let me tell you, it's been the best 4 years of my life. At first, I thought it was. I was like, it's not gonna work, but it did work. And you know what? I feel great about this because I know that there is help out there. You just need to look for it, reach for it, and find it. And once you find it, trust me, you will be a lot better. Uh, Go look. The one in Nogales is right across from the Mariposa Clinic, uh, where El Corazones was. So yeah, go there, look for it, and you'll find it. And trust me, the help you'll get. Sometimes you think that they last a long time, but when you're an addict, you want things like that because you don't want to hurt. But now they're working things differently. If you go in and ask for help and you say you need it really, really bad, they'll get you right then and there so you won't go out and use. Because before, they didn't understand addiction that well. I remember I went into the clinic, Corazones, and I would tell them, you know what, I want to get into the program. And they would tell me, oh, yeah, it's an opening in 2 weeks. And I'm like, 2 weeks? I want the help now because I feel bad. What do I do in those 2 weeks? I went and got high. 2 weeks passed and I forgot about it. So uh, whenever you go to a clinic, tell them, you know what, I need the help now because I don't want to fall in between the cracks. That was my problem. I fell in between the cracks every time they told me, oh yeah, we put you down for uh, your first checkup in a week or two. So by the third day, I had forgotten about it. Why? Because I was high, and the 2 weeks went by, and I said, nah. I just kept going and going, and until I hit rock bottom, and I called my dad and my parents and my brother and told them, you know what, I tapped out. I went out. And that time I said, you know what? If I want to work this, if I want to make this work, I need to work with the program and with the doctor. So I told the doctor, I was straight up. I'm like, you know what? This is what happens. I get out of detox and I go to the clinics that they tell me, and they tell me, yeah, we'll see you in 2 weeks. But within those 2 weeks, I don't have Suboxone. I don't have nothing to feel well and not fall into drugs again, because detox is just to detoxify your body and not have the drug in it. But once you're off of there, they stop giving you Suboxone. So when the Suboxone wears off, your body starts feeling the urge, the anxiety of wanting to use again. So by the time that the clinic says, oh, in 2 weeks or in a week we'll see you, you start using again. So they're changing that, they're helping you as soon as you go through that door. For people, that's a little story, personal story about me, that I hope it touches someone and it reaches someone and it makes someone, want to change. Addiction is something that we all know about, but we don't talk about. Why? Because it's like a taboo. A lot of people think they already know about it. Oh yeah, I know what it's about, and it's your choice. You took it, and it's your problem. No, people, it's not always like that. And even if it's like that, everybody deserves help. Everybody. Addiction could be anything: alcohol, drugs, money, sex, anything, people. But the hardest one is drugs, especially right now that they have fentanyl and all that. It kills people really, really fast. You take one pill and there's no going back, because those pills are made to be smoked, not to be taken. That's one thing that people don't understand. And the cartels right now, since marijuana has become recreational. They, we, the United States, have started to supply good quality uh, medical marijuana to patients. So that was cut off of them dealing fentanyl with heroin, mixed with heroin, or well, M30s, which are fake Percocets with fentanyl on them, and they're killing a lot of people. A lot of my friends have passed away because of that, and it hurts real bad seeing that they died when there was help out there, but there was not that education. And I think we need to get that out more, that there's help, there's education about it, that you could be good without that drug, you know. So that's my little story, my little testimony of my addiction, of how I lost my family, of how I touched or hit rock bottom and then decided to get help, and I got help, and I'm 4 years sober, have my own place, have my car, have my savings, have my daughters, have the communication and that love from, especially from my oldest. So love you, Mama Sophie, and my little munchkin Liani. I love you both a lot. Daddy's doing great, and he's doing this. Well, I'm doing this for me. Why? Because it's gonna reflect on you. All right. So that's my story, people. You'll be hearing more about this. Trust me, and something that will come later in the future. So if you liked it, hit the like button, share the video, or bad comments, you could put them. It doesn't matter. That's just motivation for me. All right, my people. So have a good